let's talk week 3. Let's get into that. Injury report. There are some key injuries. Let's start with the one we just finished talking about. Indianapolis quarterback Carson Wentz, double ankle sprain. Don't know how the hell that happens. Oh, I know. Bad offensive lines. That's how that happens. I'll leave it at that. Chicago quarterback Andy Dalton goes down with a knee injury. Miami quarterback Tua Tagovailoa almost died in this game. He got his ribs bruised. Probably, I thought those were definitely broken ribs when he got hit, but they say that nothing came back on the MRI, so fine. Philadelphia, Brandon Graham, his season is done with the torn Achilles. Cleveland wide receiver Jarvis Landry goes down with a knee injury and has been placed on IR. In Houston, quarterback Tyrod Taylor, I actually don't know what happened to him in this game, but he is injured, and he is also, I believe, placed on IR. And Davis Mills will be starting next week for Houston on Thursday Night Football. So I'm taking Carolina. Just a little tease there. Let's talk about news and storylines quickly before we move on. I've got 5 headlines to talk about. Number 1, let's talk the 11 taunting penalties that were called in week 2. Is the NFL going to make this an issue?
Well, they are right now, because as we know, we're in that gray area where, referees are trying to establish their dominance, their presence, what's going to be consistent this year and what isn't, and which crews are going to be emphasizing certain rules versus others. But obviously there's someone's planted their flag here. Yeah. And that's fine. I mean, it's a rule. Why? It's always been there. I don't know. I think it's in the spirit of, because why the rule was put in place in the first place, it was just getting out of hand. And to the point.
But to me, what last year was so egregious that they have, because last year I remember, because we were getting back to the football can be fun conversation, and then all of a sudden we get this rule this year, and nothing last year was egregious in celebrations.
Well, the other component was no fans, but it's a factor. You got to understand the psychology behind the showmanship, and then these guys getting pumped up and getting amped up in these games, and then
this is football. You can't stop me. I am going to flex in your face. Like, I don't know.
And in no major sport across the board can you do that now. It's just, have you not noticed? It's a PR corporate move. I understand in the aspect of competition, but yeah, in gamesmanship now, do you not notice there's a taunting rule in every major category, in every major sport now? Like, they just cannot do this. It's like, it's bad PR for whatever. I mean, I'm only saying that to say, because I don't want to get too into the I personally think, because what we think don't matter, because
true,
because at the end
NFL
of the day,
does not care about me,
right? This rule has been in for quite some time, but why are they like again? It's week 2. Why are they making such a big thing now?
That's the difference. Is that, yes, it's been in the rule book, and that is the case across the board, but the fact that it's a point of emphasis and we're calling flexing taunting, come on. I didn't throw the ball at him. I didn't spin the ball at his feet. I didn't do anything. I flexed because I stopped you, and you couldn't do anything to stop me.
No, and I understand, and that's that. And I look at the referee. That I'm looking at that crew at this point.
Because that hurt your feelings that bad,
right? Because how many times we've seen a sack or a group tackle, or an assist tackle or something, and the guy gets up and he flexes. There's no flags being thrown at that. That's allowed. That's always been allowed. Now, has there anybody did anything excessive with that? Not necessarily. Now, you knock the player down and you stand over him and you flex over him and you look at that's a whole different story. That's the one that
people were kind of pointing out was the Seattle was it? Who was it? It was L.A. Damn it. It was a Seattle corner. I guess it was against Tennessee, but I don't remember who the wide receiver was. He stopped him. He knocked that ball. It was on that deep pass to the end zone. It literally happened at the goal line where I think it was Diggs. He got up and he flexed at him, and then he walked away, and then the flags came out. And it was like, this dude just shut down one of the faster wide receivers in the game. Didn't let them get a score on a big play that really would have changed the tide of this game.
It's you see it's like star calls. It's you see it in the NBA, you see it in the NFL.
This is a dumb rule.
It is. It's no different than remember the excessive celebrating in the end zone when that used to be a thing, and then they finally made a rule where you could do it up to a certain time frame, or you could do it as a group, and now it's all now
the only thing you can use as a prop is the ball.
It got into all this other stuff.
You can't hang off the goalpost.
They should have just left it the way it was because the creativity was just priceless. Because at the golden era of this, why this rule was installed,
it's T.O.
And Chad Johnson. Don't get it
Chad
wrong.
Johnson. Yeah,
it was
fair,
both of them. They were like the 1A and 1B. They just led anybody else. There was a couple of ones you're not gonna remember because it was like the one time.
Yeah.
These guys every week. They had something new. And
even if they didn't score, it was them celebrating doing something.
No, and I mean, my goodness, if they didn't, you was like, oh man, they're gonna have like 2 the next week, because they got one still in the chamber.
Yeah.
But because of the spirit of that rule, that it took us some time before that became installed into a new rule. But this is all the same. It's just it's PR nonsense right now. And
what is negative about it though? Like that's because what does this do to help the game?
I'm absolutely nothing. But now I'm going to ask you a question without even which going to circle around even what you just stated. But the first part of the answer is absolutely nothing. Now, the other component is you got stuffy old white men watching these players. There's no connection with what they're doing. It's a cultural thing. And
these stuffy old white men have never stepped on an NFL or just a high school field for that matter.
Nor care to. And that, I'm just making
this isn't golf.
That's as far as I'm going with that. That's a very loaded statement I made, but that's a very real one. There is a disconnect culturally here, and which is why it even had to be instituted as a rule. There's no place in the game for this,
and that's why T.O. is still not in the Hall of Fame.
Right? How dare you pull out a Sharpie and sign a ball and blah blah blah? Freaking genius, man! That really.
Who was the
how
one
much?
Who
how much did the NFL?
Was it Randy Moss who hit the phone under the stanchion and went to go grab it and was calling somebody in the middle of the game?
I think it was T.O.
Was that T.O.?
It was T.O.
Okay.
Because he had the Sharpie, he had the phone. Chad Johnson had something else. He pulled something out at some point as well. But Randy Moss is known for taking a crap on the
the moon and the Green Bay.
They say mooning. That's not what he did.
Yeah, fair.
He took You have to understand what he was really doing.
Because in that game he was crapping on him.
That was such a G version, a way of putting it. Like, he mooned. That's not what he did, people. He did something far worse, which is why they gave him a flag. He earned that flag. I'm like, dude, that's a flag worth earning because it was such a statement. And they took.
I mean, that one I can understand. Any like obscene gesture, I guess. Like, yes, I understand those. But the ones that are like, I'm flexing on you. That's just I'm hyped because it goes back to the preseason when the Indy running back. He had that big play where he literally moved 7 guys, another 10 yards, and went out there. He flips the ball to the side, to nobody, still no flag for that. And then he flexes, and then they throw a flag, and it's like, what? He didn't do it at anybody, for one. And 2, this dude just moved at least 2,000 pounds worth of meat and just kept running and got a first down, a huge first down that probably got him a job.
I've seen players jump up and give the first down signal because they showed a little bit too much emotion with it. Flags. However,
let's just be robots of the game.
No, but let's take an example. No, I'm not picking on this person, not at all. Just what popped in my head. Jared Allen, the whole rodeo rope thing. All I'm saying is cultural stuff. See, I'm just call it what you want to call it, but. I mean, I'm not really it's not really a taboo conversation because it's not about what we're saying. It's about the behavior.
Well, question to that would be is I watched the Minnesota game. Justin Jefferson definitely straight up did the first down signal in a linebacker's face and didn't get it. Didn't get one of those flags. Like, come on. It's inconsistent.
That's what I was
for
getting
one.
at.
And 2, it doesn't change the game at all. Why are we giving 15 yards for an innocuous gesture that wasn't obscene, wasn't offensive, wasn't something that was sexual in any way? As long as it's not something where you need to cover your kid's eyes from watching that, or that kid's going to have questions about what that means. But why? What are we? It makes no sense as to why we're trying to police the game this way. Well, let's fix the head injuries. Let's fix the helmet to helmet calls. Let's fix the running backs lowering their helmets and starting to call that on the offense instead of on the defense. Let's actually fix some of these things in the game rather than let's make the game less fun to watch on TV.
True. But now we got to factor in the behind the scenes things. What is causing these officiating crews to call games certain ways? Depends on their draft grades. I mean, on their grades for what they do from week to week. If these guys are like ranked at the bottom, they got to be on. You know what I'm saying? Just to get their scores up and their grades up, they all sit there and try to make all of these little calls.
That's a different thing, because to me though, because these are subjective calls that could or could not be called, and that's fine. and yeah, what I'm saying is that those calls don't affect your grade as much as a true, like, that was holding, that was an illegal block in the back, that was offsides. Those calls that you miss, those ones are the ones that affect the game, for one, and two, also truly can be quantified as to that was right or wrong.
But true. But then I'm just, it's the things that we're not discussing is what I'm bringing up. I'm gonna bring up another component. How do we even know player A hasn't or something all of a sudden is on the outs and had this issue, or this ref has an issue with player A based on something the player said to him in the midst of the game or something, or been in this guy's ear? I'm just saying.
Let's get the subjective calls out of football.
That's what I'm trying to get at. It's a level of subjectability that is really, it's a real live component that's a part of every single football game now. But unfortunately, in certain cases in these games, it plays out at the end and is correlated to winning and losing, and that's a problem, because the play, like the offense itself, didn't change the course of the game, but guess what? You throwing this flag is, unfortunately, you like, okay, now you're controlling how this game goes, and it's like, oh no, let's put it back on the players. They know what the rule. Well, why is this a rule in the first place?
Why is it 15 yards?
But you already know that there's a lot of issues
with the rule book and
the rule book and its collective bargaining and what they have agreed upon, or
agreed.
You know what I'm saying? The compromises that they made, we're seeing them come out. Yeah, unfortunately. So
that is true. All right, from something that the NFL got wrong to something the NFL got right. The NFL is going to be hosting an international combine. That was breaking news today. I believe it's going to happen in October, if I'm not mistaken. I could be completely wrong on that. Don't quote me. But they will. I think it's going to happen in London in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So they're going to get. This is, I think, the NFL saying, hey, we're trying to reach more people. We're trying to grow the game more and more. I like it. An international combine. Let's see some guys. I think they're going to guys that make certain marks in these combines will they'll get graded at those combines, and certain grades will get them an invite to come over to the States to do something else. It didn't get a full slate of exactly how it's going to work and how those guys from the combine could possibly integrate into the NFL. But it's a step in the right direction. We're growing the game, getting it bigger, and international players means international fans. So growing the game from a fan's perspective as well. I love to see that. Another big thing that happened today, last somber thing that I want to talk about. New Orleans Superdome did catch on fire today. It was put out with everything that's been going on. Obviously, nobody from the team was there with their situation right now. But I did hear reports that there was one injury, possibly a death at that point as well. I'm not 100% on that, but there definitely wasn't at least one injury that happened from this fire that started at the Superdome. So prayers thoughts and prayers out to everybody in New Orleans still recovering from the hurricane, and also making sure that you guys can get the city put back into working order as it stands right now. So got a last somber thing I want to talk about there. Another thing that happened this week, going back to week 2, though, underdogs against the spread now up until week 2 now, 21-11. Underdogs are absolutely killing it right now in the NFL. And I got so many right last week.
Early season mischief right now. I mean, yeah, it is what it is.
All right.
A lot of season left to be played. I mean,
yeah. I just wanted to throw that out there. I wanted to talk about my
very
great
hollow
record.
stat right now. But okay.
I mean, 21-11. That's not hollow. That's actually pretty significant. That's a lot of games
in 2 weeks,
going.
I mean, I guess
that's a lot of games going to the underdog's way.
I mean, but underdogs can be subjective too. But moving on.
I'm just Vegas does their research. No,
I'm overcomplicating this.
Sure. And last thing, in regards to the sad news of the injuries, does this give way to a possible Cam Newton getting a job? I mean, Tua is down. I mean, obviously he's not coming to Chicago. Houston with Tyrod Taylor, send him over there. Carson Wentz, Indy, possible landing spot if he is out for an extended amount of time.
I already know obviously there's an issue with the football team because he's got no calls.
Yeah, I mean, football team there. Them getting the window, I think they truly are just happy with Taylor Heineke.
But it also sends another message out there. Like, okay, if Ron Rivera is not messing with you, for whatever reason, and I really do believe Cam is getting a bum rap right now. Because to your point, as much as why isn't Indianapolis calling? Because I mean, they're really gonna go with this Eastman kid. Yeah, my point of that, I'm trying not to laugh. It's like the obvious thing is like, why are they not making the call for Foles right now? I don't want him to be in Indianapolis.
Yeah, I don't want that either.
But it's just like, oh my gosh.
I want somebody to call for Foles.
Fitty now. They like, look, man, free Nick Foles and please free Chicago.
Let's send Nick Foles over to Houston. Let's where careers obviously go to die. So
they're really big on this Davis Mills thing.
Yeah, I don't understand that, and we'll talk about that in a second. But